Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm just recording this session for those of you that had to leave the Teams meeting earlier today as part of the Edinburgh Council Wellbeing Roadshow. Apologies, sound technology just not on my side today, obviously. I've checked my mic, it is working on this, so hopefully you can hear me well for this. And I'm recording this session so you can use it at a later date or another time. So as I said, I'm Caroline, and I teach menopause yoga. So a little bit about me. I'm 45. I've been practicing yoga for 25 years, and I became sort of perimenopausal around the age of 39 or 40. My symptoms, which I like to share because I think as women it's nice to share, and for me really to share with you, so maybe you go, it's not just me, I'm not feeling alone with that symptom. I have sore joints, I have muscle pain, I have huge sort of fatigue in the afternoons, I suffer from menorrhage, a little bit of irritability. I've got a frozen shoulder at the moment, quite tight, that's a perimenopausal symptom. I sometimes get heart palpitations and dizziness, and just that kind of general feeling of exhaustedness, and sore breasts as well. That's another delightful one I get at a certain time of the month. So why menopause yoga? I did some training in menopause yoga, and really just to help myself, and now I actually do share it in classes and workshops because it's helped me so much. We know that yoga can help us calm down. It really works with the nervous system, so the rest and digest side, which is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is a really good way of hacking into our brains. So as our estrogen levels fluctuate, the female hormone, it kind of messes with what's going on with all our body systems. So if you think of estrogen as a conductor of the brain, a bit like a conductor of an orchestra, the estrogen really controls parts of our brain. One specific part is the hypothalamus, which is a part of the brain that helps us regulate our hormones, so the endocrine system. So it's all linked, but it also regulates our breathing and our breath work and our nervous system. So the way we can hack into this area is through our breath and through calming our body, and that in turn helps us regulate all hormones, and particularly decreases cortisol, the stress hormone. And actually cortisol and adrenaline as well can really exacerbate and exaggerate menopausal symptoms. So it's a really simple way, if you can find a little bit of time, to bring the nervous system into that rest and digest side, and therefore alleviate actually and support menopausal symptoms. So as we go through this, I invite you to take any version that I offer. If you're familiar with yoga, you may find you're able to go a little further into a more advanced option. If you're not, just take it easy, take it gently. Listen to your body at the point and at the time you are practicing this, as it changes all the time. And if there's any pain or any strain, edge out, come out, and come back to a resting position. So we're going to begin lying on the floor with our knees bent in a semi-supine position today. I've got a couple of blankets. You may want a couple of blankets folded, or towels if you have them. I like to have a blanket under the head for some comfort. So we're coming into a semi-supine position here. And all that means is we're lying on the floor with our knees bent. And you want to take a moment, or you may like to take a moment, to take the feet further away. You'll find that the lower back sinks into the floor a little more and you've got some more support. And then bring the heels in towards your body, and you may notice that you have that natural curve in the lower back. The lower back just lifts a little off the floor. So just take some time to find your comfortable position. It's going to be different for everybody. Have a sense the feet are parallel. There's a symmetry between both sides of the body, although we know our bodies and the skeletons are not symmetrical, a sense of balance. And the hands can rest on the belly or down by the sides of your body. You may like to close your eyes, you may want to keep them open. Take a moment to allow the tongue to rest in the lower part of the jaw. And maybe you begin to notice your breath. If it feels possible today, breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Brea Maybe you notice the cooler air as you breathe in through your nostrils and the warmer air as you breathe out. Just taking a few moments to allow us to settle in to where we are, to come into this present moment. Perhaps you begin to notice where your breath is moving in the body. Maybe feeling your belly rise and fall, your rib cage expand and contract. Maybe you begin to notice if your mind is slowing down, encouraging your mind, your concentration to be anchored to your breath, refocusing on the sensation and the movement of your breath. The inhalation and the exhalation. And maybe you begin to bring some movement to your arms, floating the arms behind you, soft bend in the elbows, and then bringing the arms back down towards the body, either to rest on your belly or down by the sides of your body. So starting to wake up the shoulders, bring some movement to the shoulder joint. You may want to integrate the breath with the movement, breathing in to take the arms overhead and breathing out to bring the arms back down towards the body. Taking 3 more flowing movements like this. Coming into stillness at any point you feel you need to. And then taking your time to maybe draw the right knee in for a hug. So gently drawing the right knee in, nothing strong, just a gentle drawing in to begin with. And then maybe you bring the knee in a little closer towards the chest. So as we begin to bring movement to the shoulders, to the hips, the hip flexors, we're actually beginning to create a little bit more space for our breath as well. Slowly releasing the right leg and then drawing in the left. Taking that moment to allow the knee to settle or the body to settle into this shape. And then maybe you draw the left knee in a little closer towards the chest. Slowly releasing the left foot back down towards the floor. And then taking time to roll over onto one side and come into a box position. So hands under shoulders, knees roughly under hips. And if there's any tightness in your wrists, creating a prop, some support for the wrist. So I'm just rolling up a blanket here to demonstrate. If you're using a yoga mat, you could roll up a mat. And having some height under the fingers, it's going to take the pressure out of the wrists if there's any tightness there. Another option is to come and make soft fists instead of having flat hands, or even coming down to the elbows. So finding a shape that best supports your wrists, your body today. Have a sense of the shoulders softening away from the ears. Sometimes our shoulders are up around our ears, especially if we've been sitting at desks using computers. So just encouraging a softness there in the shoulders. Knees are roughly under the hips, as I mentioned before. And we're going to come into a shape called cat and cow. So we're taking the gaze ahead and the belly is dropping down towards the floor. And then we're lifting the spine towards the sky, rounding the back into that sort of cat position, the cat shape that they make when they're slightly angry or scared. So flowing movement into cow and slowly into cat. And taking your time, you may want to slowly increase the movement a little more, making it deeper or stronger. You may just want to keep it soft, gentle. Welcome to integrate your breath, breathing in to take your gaze forwards, dropping your belly towards the floor, and breathing out to curl the spine round, taking the gaze towards the knees. Just ensuring you're breathing. And slowly waking up the spine here, taking 2 more rounds of movement. Slowly finding your way back into the box position. And if you were on your hands, you may want to take a moment to release the wrists. Slowly rotate the wrists, spreading the fingers. And we're going to come into a lunge position here. So from here, we're going to step our right foot forwards. Right knee is directly above the right ankle. That's important just for safety of the knee joint. If there's any tightness or unhappiness in the left knee, maybe you just bring some padding. Sometimes I have a blanket under my knee just to create a bit of softness there. And then bringing the hands to the hips. So we've come into this lunge shape. If this is a familiar shape for you and your body and you know you want a little bit more, you can tuck the left toes and take the left knee a little further behind you, increasing the stretch around the hips. Perhaps you stay here. Maybe you reach up towards the sky with the fingertips. And it can be a wider reach if there's tightness in the shoulders. Breathing here. Releasing the hands if they were raised, and slowly making our way back into our box position. And we're going to bring the left leg forwards now. So bringing the left leg forwards, the left foot, same alignment again with the left knee directly above the left ankle. Just take a little bit of time here to feel comfortable in the shape. Find padding if you need it, taking the knee forwards or back depending on how much of a stretch you want to feel in this side of the body, and then slowly coming up. A little bit of a challenge to the balance, so finding a drishti point, we call it in yoga, a point of focus to help us balance, something still to watch, to look at. And the hands can rest on the hips, or maybe you breathe in and reach up. Slowly releasing the arms if you took them overhead, stepping back into our box position, and maybe taking 2 or 3 rounds of cat and cow. Releasing through the back of the body again, before we slowly making our way up to a standing position. So taking your time to find your way up to standing. And we're going to come into a soft version of Tadasana, of mountain shape. Feet can be hip distance apart, so the big toes are tracking under the hip bones, or maybe they come a little bit wider, but making sure there's a soft bend in the knees, hands or fingertips reaching down towards the earth, and a sense of length through the spine. So you may find you can lift the chest just a little without overarching the back of the body. So as I lift up, we're trying not to push the hips forwards. There's a lift from the crown of the head. And from here we'll come into a little bit of head and neck movement. So I'll mirror you today, slowly bringing the right ear towards the right shoulder. If you know you want a little bit of a stronger stretch, maybe you take the right hand to the head and encourage the right ear towards the right shoulder a little further. Slowly releasing the arm and bringing the head back to center, and taking the left ear towards the left shoulder, and taking that moment to allow your head, your neck to settle where it is. This might be enough on this side. It can feel very different on both sides. Or maybe you encourage the left ear a little closer to the left shoulder. And knowing that if you feel you've gone too far or it feels too strong, just to edge off. In yoga we talk about sthira and sukha, steadiness and ease. So there's a sense of steadiness in the shape we're making, but also ease, so we know we can breathe. And very slowly coming back to center. We'll come into a gentle twist, taking our gaze towards the right hand side. Encouraging the head back to center and towards the left hand side. And slowly back to center. We're going to bring some movement to the side of the body, a lateral stretch. Breathing in, breathing out, and slowly folding towards the right hand side. Maybe you bring your left hand to the side of the left rib cage here, and notice the rib cage expanding with the breath. If you haven't got any shoulder injuries or tightness in the shoulder, you're welcome to bring the hand up and over and come into a slightly deeper lateral stretch. On the next inhalation, as you breathe in, coming to center, releasing the arm and slowly moving towards the other side, to the left-hand side. And as we come into the lateral stretch, just a simple side bend to begin with. We're just taking these first few moments to allow the body to settle into the shape, to allow the brain to work out what's happening, what's going on. Maybe you bring the right hand to the right side of the rib cage to feel the rib cage expand with the breath. You can help direct the breath into this side as well. You'll notice one side's a little bit squashed as we're in a side bend, and you can breathe into the slightly more open side. Again, as long as your shoulder's happy to do so, you're welcome to bring the hand up and over to increase the stretch. Encourage that softness, that soft bend in the knees. And then on the next inhalation, slowly coming back to center and finding stillness once again. So I'm going to invite you to come into some half sun salutations, a little bit more movement now. Welcome to keep the feet hip distance apart, wider, narrower, whatever feels right, feels supportive for you and your body. And I'll just briefly demonstrate what we're doing. We're going to be breathing in and reaching up, breathing out, folding forwards, always leading with the heart so we fold from the hips. Coming into a sort of half lift, flat back, folding forwards and reaching up. And coming back down. Just a few pointers, we'll be doing it a little bit slower than that. We want to fold from the hips here, so really leading with the heart. If we fold from the waist, you'll notice everything gets squashed. So we want to make sure we fold from the hips, and that's going to help us be able to breathe. The lungs won't be contracted. And also, if you have high blood pressure or you suffer from hot flushes, only coming to about level with the hips. So as you bring the head lower than the heart, that's known to possibly bring on hot flushes, but also not ideal for high blood pressure. So listening to your body, feeling supported in your yoga practice. So finding your stable base, once again, our Tadasana, our mountain shape, reaching down towards the earth, length through the spine, softness in the knees, and breathing in to reach up. Breathing out, folding forwards, leading with the heart, and coming into our forward fold, bending the knees as much as you need to. So depending on how tight your hamstrings are feeling, it might be quite a strong bend, but we can still lift through the sitting bones to find a little bit more length through the back of the legs. Tuck the chin, relax the back of the neck. And then bringing the hands to the shins or the knees, shoulders away from ears, we've come into a flat back position. It's almost like we have a tray of drinks on our back, looking towards the floor. Slowly folding forwards, breathing out. Bending into the knees a little more, breathing in to power out through the feet, reaching up towards the sky, and breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. So the breath is a guide. The main thing is that you're breathing and you feel that flow of the inhalation and exhalation. You're really welcome to join into the rhythm that I'm guiding you through, but just making sure it works for you and your body. We're going to take that 3 more times, a little bit faster. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding forwards, leading with the heart, softness in the knees. Breathing in, flat back. Breathing out, folding forwards. Breathing in, reaching up towards the sky. Breathing out, bringing the hands back down to the sides of the body. Breathing in to reach up. Maybe the gaze follows. Breathing out, folding forwards, bending the knees as much as you need to, tucking the chin. Breathing in, flat back. Breathing out, folding forwards. Breathing in to reach up. Breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. One more time, breathing in to reach up. Breathing out, folding forwards, leading with the heart. Breathing in to our flat back. Breathing out to fold forwards. Breathing in, bending into the knees, powering through the feet to reach up. Breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. And taking a moment here in stillness, you may even want to close the eyes, you may want to bring one hand to the heart, one hand towards the belly. And just take a moment to allow the breath to settle. Maybe noticing sensations in the body, maybe some warmth. Maybe you can feel your heart rate, your heartbeat. If your eyes are closed, gently opening the eyes, releasing the hands, and back into our mountain pose, our Tadasana. We're going to make our way slowly on back towards the floor, and we're going to come into Sphinx Shape today. So a bit like cat-cow, our knees are going to be on the floor. So if you like a little bit of padding for your knees, please do have it. It also feels quite nice to have a blanket or towel under the knees. A little bit warmer sometimes. And Sphinx looks a little bit like this. The elbows are directly under the shoulders. Now this can be quite a strong back bend. It may feel a little uncomfortable for the lower back. And if that is you, take the elbows a little further forward. Just soften the back bend. You'll find a shape that feels a bit more supportive. If that just doesn't feel comfortable, shoulders for any reason or lower back, welcome to come into Makrasana, into crocodile. So the forearms are coming stacked, fingertips to elbows, and the forehead rests on the floor. The eyes can remain open or stay closed. Very much up to you. And that's a much gentler back bend. So finding a version that works for you. If you have come into Sphinx, I sense that the forearms are parallel. Hands, fingers spread. Shoulders dropping away from the ears. Chest lifting up, upwards. And maybe you begin to just gently press into the pads of the fingers. And as you do so, you may find a little bit of movement in the back of the body. You may find some muscles engaged there. So as we hold a back bend like Sphinx, or even gently in crocodile, we're opening the chest, great for releasing sort of irritability, if you're not in a great mood, hormones all over the place, possibly menorrhage. I find this really helps release my anger. But also this is a wonderful shape to come into to support our bone health. So one of the risks as we come through perimenopause and menopause is osteoporosis. And what this does, this particular shape, Sphinx, as we hold it for a little longer, is it stresses the cells in the bones. And as I say the word stress, you may think of a negative connotation, but in this sense of the word, it's really positive. So as we stress the cells, they begin to wake up and they start to say we need to renew, we need to regenerate. So we're supporting bone health, strengthening bones and strengthening the bone density. If at any point this becomes too much, as we hold it a little longer, you may feel you want to come and rest down towards the floor, rest the head on the hands, come into crocodile. If you are still in Sphinx, enjoying this, welcome to come into a twist. So we're gently pushing into the left hand to almost straighten the arm, keeping a soft bend in the left elbow and taking the gaze towards the left hand side. Welcome to take the gaze a little further, trying to keep the hips and the pelvis grounded. Slowly coming back to center, dropping the left elbow, and we'll take that on the other side. So gently pushing into the right hand, softness in the right elbow, gaze towards the right hand side, maybe even just a little further behind you. Listening to the right side of the body, it can feel very different to the left. So just taking it gently. We often have a habitual side, like we're right-handed or left-handed, and that side can sometimes be a little bit tighter. So just being kind, compassionate towards yourself here. And slowly coming back through center and releasing towards the mat. We're going to take our time to roll onto our back. And because we've just taken a back bend, we want to bring a sense of balance back towards the body. So drawing the knees in. And you may want to hold the knees in. You may like a gentle rocking movement, can feel very supportive. And this particular shape is great for the digestive system. So one of the many symptoms of perimenopause and menopause is a sluggish digestion, bloating. And this is great. We're massaging the digestive system here. If you're bringing the knees in and gently letting go, you'll feel your belly is getting a gentle massage. Maybe you take the knees in a couple of circles in one direction and the other to massage the lower back. And just when you're ready, dropping the feet down, back down towards the floor. We're going to come into a supported bridge shape. And for those that suffer from hot flushes and high blood pressure, maybe just using a little bit of support under the hips and pelvis. And I mean very little, in the shape of a folded blanket. So I'm going to fold my blanket here, and that will be enough support under the hips for those of you that suffer from hot flushes and high blood pressure. If that's not you and you know you can take a little bit more support, I've got another folded blanket here and you can come a little higher. But very much have a sense of the hips and the pelvis being supported, feet being parallel, and a softness in the shoulders. Kind of a tucking, a little bit of the shoulder blades almost coming together, and the palms can, or the hands can rest on the floor beside you, palms facing up. So ideally this feels very supportive regardless of what level of height you're in or on. Maybe tucking the chin just a little towards the chest. So just making sure you feel comfortable in this shape. A sense of being able to just to soften in towards the ground, kind of let go and rest. You may want to soften the gaze or close the eyes. Maybe retuning into your breath. And it's natural for thoughts to float into our minds, for the mind to be active, but encouraging the mind to come back to the breath, to focus on the inhalation and the exhalation. So this particular shape with support under our hips is drawn from Yin Yoga. It's also used in restorative yoga, so both more quiet, more restful shapes and practices. Maybe you notice you can soften your shoulders a little bit more,
bring a sense of quietness across the face. Taking 3 more breaths here. Just when you're ready, we're going to come into relaxation for a few minutes. So if you feel comfortable, you feel happy in this shape, maybe you stay here. If you come on to a little bit of, or a bit more support, just maybe removing one blanket. Alternatively, coming into traditional Shavasana, which is extending the legs and having the hands resting either side of the body. Or maybe you come into a slightly different shape, a shape that supports you in relaxation. So finding a shape that you feel you can rest in. Really important to feel warm. So socks, jumpers, maybe use one of the blankets to pull over you. And just taking the next moment or two to ensure your comfort, to ensure you feel like you can rest for the next 2 to 3 minutes. I'll be guiding you momentarily into relaxation, and then there will be a little while or a period of time in silence. As I ring my singing bowl, it'll just be an indication as we're coming towards the end of relaxation. There won't be any hurry to move. And as you begin to find stillness, focusing on your breath, and once again using your breath as an anchor to help still your mind. Becoming aware of the inhalation, the exhalation, the ebb and flow of your breath. Maybe you're able to visualize or have a sense of the breath, encouraging ease in the body, a softness, a sense of lightness, weightlessness around the joints, the ankles, the knees, the hips, shoulders, elbows and wrists. We often hold a lot of tension in our glutes and around our hips and our shoulders. So just taking a moment to encourage them to soften in particular. Maybe a sense of softness spreads across your face, particularly around the forehead, the jaw, encouraging your tongue to rest in the lower part of the mouth. Following your breath in, following your breath out. Having a sense of the earth, the ground, supporting you, holding you.
Slowly bringing your awareness back to the space you're in, where you are in the room. Maybe beginning to take some deeper breaths. Maybe you feel drawn to sighing your breath out. Taking your time to bring movement back towards your body. You may begin to gently wiggle toes and fingers, bring movement to ankles and wrists. Maybe you slowly move your head and your neck. Draw the knees in for a hug together or one at a time. And take a full body stretch with the arms overhead. Eventually rolling over onto one side. The side you're most drawn to, knees tucked in almost a fetal position with the arms supporting your head. Taking a few moments there. And just when you're ready, finding your way up to a seated position, using your arms, your hands to support you to come to a seated position. If you're sitting on the floor, sitting on the folded blankets, or maybe you come to a chair. Having some height under the hips helps us lift through the lower back. Sense of length through the spine, softness in the shoulders. And just take a moment, maybe you close the eyes, to notice how you feel. Notice of any changes in the body. Maybe you've created a little bit more space in muscles. Maybe you've released a little bit of tension or tightness. Maybe you just feel a little calmer, softer. Thanking yourself for taking this time for you, for practicing some yoga to support your perimenopause and menopause journey. And I'll finish our session together, as I do with all my classes, bringing my hands together in Anjali Mudra. You're very welcome to join me if you feel comfortable doing so. Anjali Mudra, thumbs coming to heart center, connecting both halves of the body. Some say both hemispheres of our brain. Now I like to take my hands up to my forehead for kind thoughts, to my lips for kind words, and back down to my heart center for kind actions. A reminder for all of us at this stage in life to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. Om Shanti. Thank you so much for joining me for this session. Thank you for having me as part of the Wellbeing Roadshow. I hope this recording proves helpful, and if there are any questions, you can get in touch with me via my website, theyogacrow.com, or Caroline at phippsurch.com. And as I mentioned, I've got a hidden page on my website. It has lots of resources, books, podcasts, links to yoga, menopause yoga classes, slightly longer classes that I have recorded, some nutritional information to help support perimenopause and menopause, lots of information. It's almost too much, but it's a free resource, and if you would like access to it, please do get in touch and I can give you the link and the password. Thanks so much for having me, and I hope you have a good week.